Cassandra is a child, trying to raise two. She doesn't know whether or not to call herself a woman or a mother because both titles feel uncomfortable on her tongue. So she calls herself a student. She calls me teacher Jerrica. And every other Wednesday when I help teach poetry to her and the other girls in the community school, I put on my best big girl face. I can't let them see how often I crumble as a poet. It's not fair. The self-inflicted shackles on my wrists don't amount to the real ones that have been on theirs. And so I walk in, all WebsterDictionary.com godlike. These girls look at me as if I know every inch to this planet's secrets, especially Cassandra. Cassandra, who has leopard print burn marks on her arms that she wears heavy, like poverty and struggle hijacked her demeanor, and so when she walks, she leaves behind footsteps of apathy, but I dare you to follow her home. She'll show you 16 in a different light. She takes the long way home sometimes and she tries to avoid the same streets her brother was killed at, but some days, y'all, she's brave. Some days she stands outside of the home where she was forced to strip naked in front of what she called family, pistol in her mouth to repress her screams, hands tied behind her back, legs wide open, as if consent even had a worthy mouth to begin with. Cassandra writes her poetry in diagonal lines that look like sunbeams coming out of her pen. Her talent makes me feel like a cop-out. You can see the realness on her pages. She writes as if she ripped the bones out of her rib cages and chose that as her pen because they are the closest thing to her heart, she tells me.
Come on.
This is all I have sometimes. Sometimes Cassandra asks me questions. She asked me why my hair isn't even. If a lopsided head was the look I was going for. She asked me when it was supposed to get better. She asked me what she's supposed to do. She asked me how she's supposed to raise her children in a society that dubs her a delinquent first before a fucking human being. Girls like Cassandra are not even the margin. They are the spirally crinkly shit ripped off pages that teachers hate because they stick to other papers and they're just too messy. How do I tell a 16-year-old girl who has already lived that she hasn't even begun her life yet? How do I tell her that my hairdo is my own desperate attempt to try and feel cool? How do I tell her that the moon is always full despite the fact that we can't see all of it sometimes? How do I tell her that there is always a tomorrow and right behind it is an anxious future? How do I tell her to keep holding on? How do I tell her, as her teacher, that I don't have the answers to any of her questions?